Hello, sisters, intuitive innovators of soul success, and welcome to our weekly card pull. I've got some juicy cards to share with you, some new cards to share with you, and some new messages to share with you. So, as you are hopping on, make sure that you say hello. Let me know where you're watching from, and then comment 1, 2, or 3, and I will pull your card for the week. Okay, so here's the thing. As you are hopping on, I have a couple of announcements to share. We're going to do a grounding meditation and then we're going to pull cards. But if you're watching the replay or as you get insight throughout the week, make sure to come back in and comment because a lot of the messages from these goddesses illuminate with time. And, the message is not just in the present moment, but a lot of us say in the spiritual world that time isn't real. And so as you start to get the downloads, even though I'm sharing you the card pull for the week, a lot of it comes in divine timing for you. All right. So as you're hopping on, say hello, comment 1, 2, or 3. I will pull your card for me. Let me know how the broadcasting is doing. Let me know how the audio and the visual is performing because we're in a snowstorm. There's lots of snow, and technology is always a very interesting thing. Okay. So the first thing that I want to share with you is this is going to be the last card pull here of the year as we're entering the holiday season, as we're entering the new year. And so I wanted to make sure this card pull was really powerful and informative for you. And I also have a couple of announcements to share with you. You ready? The first is, throughout the year, my business partner Jennifer and I have really thought hard about what is going to support you all in moving the needle in your business. And we've been doing a lot of market research. We've been polling you in case you haven't seen in the group. And, for us, we really got to pick your brain and get a pulse on what is going to move the needle for you in 2022. And overwhelmingly, manifesting money and hitting that 6-figure mark was the number one thing. And so we created this 6-day challenge. If you've done a challenge of mine in the past, you know how powerful and transformative these challenges can be. And so on January 3rd, we're going to be launching our 6 days to 6-figure framework challenge. And you guys, this challenge is the exact framework that Jennifer and I have implemented to manifest 6- and 7-figure businesses, as well as our clients. And so we're going to pull back the curtain in all the very simple strategies that we've used. We're going to do a lot of manifestation work as well. And I promise you, if you take this challenge full on, not only will you gain clarity on where you're going in 2022 to scale your business, but you also get to see how easy it gets to be, right? How many of you would love to have a successful business that is very simple, right? No reinventing the wheel, no banging your head against the keyboard, which we've all done. So if you're excited to register, I'm going to share with you the link right here. And I'm just going to pop it here in the comments. And there you go. Boom, bam. Boom and bam. Okay, so what we're going to do now is start with our grounding meditation, and then we'll pull some cards. Go ahead and give me a fist pump if you're ready to pull some cards, even if you're watching the replay. Okay, so go ahead and close your eyes. Place your hands on your knees with your palms faced up. Soften the eyes into the back of the head. Feel the texture in the breath, reminding you that you are alive and you are here. Feel the inhalations enter the body through the nose, down into the lungs as the rib cage expands. And feeling that texture in the breath as you exhale. Letting go of the human, the ego, the distractions, the monkey mind. And anchoring to the divine wisdom that is inside of your bones, that is there for you to access at any time, anytime. You don't need someone else to gift you this wisdom, because you can always access it within. I'd like you to set an intention for a time together today. Where do you seek guidance? What questions do you have? And as you set an intention, I'd like you to call on the highest good. Knowing that anytime we collectively come together, it's not only serving your highest ascension, but the highest ascension, the highest good. Let's take one more slow breath as you complete your intention for a time together today. And when you're ready, you can blink the eyes open. Okay, here we go. Who is with me? Go ahead and comment 1, 2, or 3 and let me know where you're watching from so I know who is with me. And we are going to dive into these cards. Okay. So we're going to start with number 1. Okay, so if you picked number 1, you picked the Greek goddess of the grain, of motherhood, and of nurturing, Demeter. So if you pick number 1, this card is coming through to remind you how good it feels and how powerful it could be for you when you are of service, when you give to others, when you take the ego out of the equation, when you take scarcity out of the equation. So as you're looking at your business, or even, when you were meditating, maybe some other things came through for you in which you seek guidance. Maybe it's in relationships, maybe it's in money, maybe it's in health. I'd like you to ask yourself, how can you continue to be of service, yet also make sure that your cup is always full? Sometimes we tend to get it confused where we think that being of service means sacrificing our own self-care, means always putting others' needs before our own. And as a mother, I know this all too well. As an empath, I know this all too well, where I tend to see what other people want and often put it above my own self-care. And so for you, number 1s, I'd like you to see how you can continue to make a bigger splash, to make a bigger impact, yet also make sure that your cup is always full to the point where it's overflowing into others, into other areas, into other people, into other problems. And know that anytime we can tap into nurturing love, it's like all of the problems or the perceived problems tend to float away. And I was even, using this in my parenting when my 4-year-old was having a meltdown and she was mad at her sister and she was just like outside of her body, like she couldn't control herself. And she was operating from the head space. She was reactive. And there were so many problems. All she could see were problems. And I said, okay, Lena, we're going to pause for a minute. And I want you to put your hands on your heart. What does that feel like for you? So she closed her eyes. She put her hands on her heart. And she said, I just want to be kind. I just want to love. I love my sister. It's not a big deal, right? That simple act of putting her hands on her heart was the portal of her accessing this nurturing, loving body inside of her that's always been there. But because she was overwhelmed by the headspace, it was really hard for her to access. So I'd like you to take on that same method of wisdom where we're letting go of the ego and we're tapping in to this nurturer, to the lover within, and the infinite wisdom where we only see solutions, right? So as you're commenting and as you're listening, go ahead and comment in the comments what is coming up for you, what is revealed for you as I'm sharing that to you. All right, number two. Okay, so if you pick number 2, just go ahead and post it there in the comments. And if you pick number 2, this is a new card I don't know if we've seen over the past year, but I love this card. So this is the goddess Arianhod, who is the goddess of time. And I love this card so much, and it reminds me of when I was running a retreat in Costa Rica, and we were going around and setting intentions, and we were also bringing awareness a lot of the setbacks that we had. And the youngest person at the retreat said, I feel like I just don't have enough time. I feel like I need to make up for lost time. I feel like time is not on my side. I feel like life has passed me by. And so if you picked number 2, I'd like you to look at time as like an energy body and time as a personality. So at the retreat, she was sharing how in her life, she'd always felt like she was just catching up. And it was so interesting for me because nobody else at the retreat felt that way. And yet we were all older than her. Right? She felt like she didn't have enough time to meet her husband and be successful in her career. She didn't have enough time to start a family. She just felt like life was passing her by. And so I share this with you, number 2, is because I'd like you to take on the opposite. Time is your friend. And time often is an illusion. I know I felt that way when I was in my 20s. I'm like, oh my God, I should be further developed in my career. I should be making more money. I should have a husband. I don't have a boyfriend. All of these things when I was living in LA. And it came from the lens of scarcity. And it came from the lens of there not being enough. So if you pick number 2, Arianhod is telling you that time is your friend. Make time your friend. You have more time in the world than you know. So stop trying to catch up to time, because it's an illusion. And when you're just trying to catch up all the time, you will never have enough time. You will always feel behind. And that creates a very masculine, hustle hard mentality. And I know this to be true in my business as well. When I first started my business, I'm like, I gotta be making more money fast. I gotta be making 6 figures fast, right? And it was like, no matter how I performed or the results that were granted for me, there was never enough. And I was always just trying to play catch up. And time was not my friend, right? Because I made a conscious choice that there was never going to be enough time. And now I'm almost 40 and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have more time in the world than ever before, right? I have more time than ever to create all of the things on my bucket list, do all of the things on my bucket list and create all of the projects that I desire in my business. And so for you, number two, she's asking you to take on the same lens of time being your friend. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what you've done. You can create anything you desire. There have been many multimillionaires who created their businesses in their 50s and 60s, right? I think it was like, even like Martha Stewart, I think she got started at 50. And there's so many women. So this is a gentle reminder, a friendly reminder to you to be compassionate and look from the lens of abundance and there being more than enough. And when you can look from the lens of more than enough, that is what you will attract, is more than enough. You sniffing when I'm scratching? You picking up when I'm putting down, sisters? Okay, so that was number two. And number three, this is bringing everything home. This is such a beautiful card. So the Japanese goddess of winter, Yukki Onna, who represents stillness, is for you, number threes. And so, to talk about time, right? I shared this with you in my previous videos, how I wanted to take November and December to be still, to hit pause. And does that mean that I'm not working? No, because here, I'm here live. I have clients that I'm working with, but it's an energetic shift. It's an energetic shift when you are still. So if you picked number three, Yukki Onna is asking you to meditate regularly, to be still regularly. You don't have to meditate the way that I meditate. You can do it actively. You can do it passively. You can be still in whatever way makes you feel at peace. Excuse me. One of my good friends, Dr. Catherine Gaillet, in a podcast, we were talking about how the universe speaks to us, how spirit speaks to us. And when we're in the masculine, when we feel like we're having to perform all the time, when we feel like we have to hustle, like we have to catch up, right? Like time isn't our friend. We got to do more, be more. It's like a bunch of birds flocking around and it's clutter, right? We're scattered energy in so many different directions. But imagine messages from spirit or from your guides that want to download onto you wisdom that is within your bones. But if there are all these geese or birds that are flying around, the cargo ship cannot land. And so that's what happens for a lot of us as souls having a human experience and being human and having egos and having distractions and all the things, emotions, scattered energy. We're not creating space for that cargo ship to land and for spirit to land, for wisdom to land. And so for you, number three, is it's time for you to create space for that cargo ship to land. And when you can create space is where your biggest breakthroughs will come through for you. And what you desire will only exponentially grow. The stillness is the launch pad to manifestation. It's like putting on your jetpack. You got to slow down to speed up, right? So for you, number threes, there have been too many times where you've just been speeding up. You've been sprinting. You've been floating around. And it's time for you to be still, and you will manifest so much more. So much more. So again, I will share with you these cards, and I will go back in and respond to the comments. So again, if you picked number one, you picked Demeter, who is the goddess of love, service, and nurturing space. So finding this balance between being of service, but also pouring into yourself so much that your cup is flowing over. If you picked number two, you picked Arianhod, who is the goddess of time, and she is here to remind you that you have more than enough time in the world to create everything that you desire. Time is an illusion, and so whatever you're getting the nudge to create, if you're saying, I don't have enough time for this, or I'm too old for this, or all of these things, those are just excuses and those are not the truth. And then number 3 is Yukki Onna, the Japanese Goddess of Stillness. So she is reminding you that it's time for you to skyrocket into 2022. But if you want to do that, you got to be still. You got to slow down to speed up. And you can slow down, all of the wisdom that wants to come through, that's inside of your bones, will come through. But you've got to slow down first. Cool? All right. So again, the 6 days to 6-figure framework challenge is January 3rd. People are signing up. We are going to be rocking and rolling during those six days to share with you the framework that we've implemented to manifest multiple 6-figure businesses for our clients, and we get to make it easy and it gets to be fun. So make sure to register the link below by clicking on. Love you guys so much. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.